My name is Nate Griffith, and today I will be talking about the historical mystery novel called Dissolution by C.J. Sansom. This book is a mix of mystery, political tension, and real Tudor era history. And what really surprised me is how intense and atmospheric it is. It's like you're stepping straight into 1537 England. To set the tone, I wanted to start with a quote that hooked me personally immediately. My master Singleton is foully murdered in the heart of the monastery in a most terrible manner. He was found this morning in the kitchen in a lake of blood, his head cut clean off. When I first read that, I literally stopped and went, okay, so we're not in a light mystery. This is serious. It instantly told me that this book isn't going to hold back and that the mystery is going to be pretty dark, dangerous, and full of secrets. Um, One of the biggest strengths of this book is the setting. It takes place in 1537 during one of the most stressful moments in English history when King Henry VIII was shutting down monasteries all across the country. Tons of people were terrified. The government was very paranoid. Religion was being turned literally upside down, pretty much. And all that pressure is packed into this one isolated monastery on the coast, which is called Scarnesio. The entire place feels very cold, foggy, and cut off from the rest of the world. So you get the sense that even before the murder, something is already very wrong there. The atmosphere almost becomes its own character, and that really adds to the tension, in my opinion. The main character is Matthew Shardlake. He is a lawyer working for Thomas Cromwell, which basically means he's stuck in the middle of one of the most politically dangerous jobs in England. Shardlake is really interesting because he's very smart, very observant, and very logical, but he's also human. He has a physical disability that makes his life harder, and he deals with judgment and disrespect from other people throughout the story. And even with that, he keeps his dignity and he approaches the case with a sense of fairness that honestly made me respect him a lot. What makes him stand out to me is the way he balances his logic with morality. He's not just solving a murder, but he's trying to understand the truth in a world full of lies, pressure, and fear, especially coming from the top down. So here's where everything really begins to kick off. Thomas Cromwell sends a commissioner named Robin Singleton to investigate the monastery, and Singleton is supposed to uncover corruption. But instead, he ends up brutally murdered, decapitated, literally right there in the monastery kitchen. Cromwell's Cromwell panics because if the king finds out, it could cause a political explosion. So he sends Shardlake shortly after to secretly investigate the murder and figure out what exactly happened. That puts Shardlake in a very dangerous position, and he has to find the truth, but he can't make any mistakes or offend the wrong person, because if he does, all hell will break loose. It creates this constant feeling that he's always walking on a knife's edge, which was really cool. When Shardlake gets to Scarnesia, he meets a lot of characters who immediately seem very suspicious. There's Abbot Fabian, who's the leader of the monastery. He was polite on the surface, but he was definitely hiding something, and you could tell. Then there's Brother Guy, the infirmarian, who ends up being one of the few people Shardlake can actually rely on. Then you've got monks like Edwig, and uh, Edwig and Gabriel, who act very jumpy and very defensive every time the investigation gets close to them. And of course, Shardlake is traveling with his assistant, Mark Bower, who is quite young. He's definitely emotional and sometimes gets himself into a lot of trouble. But every single character in this feels like they have a motive or a secret, and which is really cool, especially as a reader, because you're constantly guessing who to trust and who not to trust. At as the investigation continues, the tension definitely ramps up. Shardlake discovers that the monastery isn't just hiding spiritual corruption, but there are actual financial scandals, personal betrayals, and even a missing holy relic, which was the hand of the penitent thief, which was believed to have healing powers at the time. The deeper he digs, I noticed the more dangerous it became. Doors got slammed in his face, people lashed out, and feared. The monk's fear started turning into anger, and you could tell. There were multiple moments where you genuinely feel like Shardlake might honestly be the next one to get killed. And every time a clue surfaces, another mystery pops up behind it, which was really awesome. The suspense kept building all the way through, but I'm not going to spoil the ending. The one thing that surprised me was how I connected to the mindset of the main character. Shardlake is constantly trying to stay rational and moral in a situation where everyone around him is constantly panicking, hiding things, or lying to protect themselves. And that honestly felt pretty relatable. There are times in life where you're stuck between people or stuck in tension and you have to make decisions without having all the information. Shardlake deals with the pressure from authority, pressure from the people around him, and pressure from his own conscience. In that struggle to do what's right, even when it's not the most easy or most popular way, was something that really stood out to me. It also made me think about how messy the truth can be and how sometimes the answers aren't always clear at first glance. From an academic standpoint, um, I'd say this book is definitely on the more challenging side, mostly because of the amount of historical context and vocabulary it throws at you. But the writing itself was incredibly strong. I thought that CJ Sansom is amazing at building such a cool atmosphere because he uses sensory details like the coldness of the monastery, the quiet chanting of the monks, the smell of the sea marshes to make the world feel alive, and it truly helped. He also writes characters who feel layered and very believable. No one is like cartoonish or simple. because everyone in this has motives that actually make sense. And something I noticed is that almost every chapter ends with some kind of shift, a new clue, a twist, or a moment where Shardlake starts to doubt someone he trusted. And it keeps the pacing very tense without feeling rushed, which I really enjoyed. But overall, the writing is dense but very rewarding at the end. It definitely challenges you, but like I said, it pays off. Um, to wrap everything up, I definitely recommend Dissolution for anyone who enjoys mysteries that actually feel realistic, have an intellectual side, and enjoy stories that are very atmospheric. And if you like stories that have political tension, complex characters, and a slow burn mystery that builds up over time, this is the perfect book. It's definitely not a light read, but it's extremely engaging once you're actually into it. Um, what stuck with me the most was how real the world actually felt. The fear, the suspension, the moral dilemmas, they in how the mystery wasn't just about solving a murder, but about understanding an entire system of corruption was really neat. And overall, Dissolution is very dark. It's gripping and it's surprisingly emotional at times. And I'm really glad I chose it. But that is all I have. Thank you for listening.